Hi, this is Tara with Love Prevails, and I am trying to get this camera set up. It's been a long time since I've been able to do a live feed, so I'm super excited that I get to do one with my friend Will. How are you, Will?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. And Will, what I'm doing here is I'm introducing my company, Love Prevails, and with Love Prevails, we are we're doing intervention support and working as peer coaches for individuals that are struggling with addiction. The intervention support, I'm working with the families that are watching their loved ones struggle with addiction and working to get them into treatment and getting them help, because help is out there. And so I really appreciate that you agreed to do this video today. I'm super excited to hear your story.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good. And did you do anything special for Mother's Day?
So, no, but yes. I don't have, my mom's not out here.
Oh.
So she lives in Michigan. So what I do Mother's Day weekend is I plant all my sunflowers for the year. So I spent a lot of time outside planting all my sunflowers, and we can't be together, so that's my little honor to her.
Now, do you just plant flowers, or do you plant a garden, like
so
vegetables and stuff?
I do no vegetables right now. The last couple of years I've just done sunflowers, but this year I did about 15 different varieties. So I'll have several different colors, different lengths, different kind of everything, and I just randomly mush them all together and put them in the dirt and see what happens.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Do you do any the big ones that have the seeds and stuff in them?
Yep. So I have
wow.
some of my ones from last year that are already starting to pop up as little babies, and usually you kind of do that this time of the year, right? This little couple week window is when it's time to do it. So
wow.
I've just the last few years, that's been my little bit of honor to my mom.
I love that. And does she know about that?
She does. Yeah, she's a
that.
big gardener. She, it's funny, when I was young, I would have never thought plants were my thing. I was maybe the illegal ones at the time, but now I go to the greenhouse. I'm like, wow, I really did become exactly what I thought I would never become, and that is a little gardening freak. So
yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a little bit of experience there.
Absolutely.
So we did an herb garden. So we've got a really pretty herb garden that
nice.
My oldest daughter actually planted in a couple little flowers that she did.
Good.
And so I'm really excited to do some cooking with the herb garden. She actually, so my girls, they surprised me with breakfast in bed.
Nice.
Which was, I was not expecting it, because the last couple of years for us, we didn't, our holidays were not great. And the last couple of years, Mother's Day was not that good. And in fact, this time last year, I was taking one of my daughters to rehab. So it was very devastating Mother's Day. Yeah. And this year, that same daughter and I had the most amazing day. She went out of her way to make it a special day for me. And we went up to Longmont. We went to the cheese importers. Have you ever been to the cheese importers? Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Do you like cheese?
Oh yeah, big cheese.
Oh my gosh,
big
cheese from everywhere. And you know that you've got the wine sommeliers, they've got that for cheese also.
Interesting.
And my big thing is I want cheeses that don't have the hormones and all of that in them. And so if you go to a place like that, then
one of my best friends just moved up there. So honestly, we're gonna try that out.
It's a must-have. It is a massive refrigerator full of cheeses from all over the world.
Oh, perfect.
And we bought some cheese and some like mustard salami that had some mustard seed in it. That was amazing. That's what we had for dinner last night. Oh my gosh, good. I'm in heaven. Yeah. I'm in heaven.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, when you think about the years past and how the struggles, right? You kind of touched on it, and it just, I do the same thing. And again, that's kind of why I do what I do now. Like, I can't be home on Mother's Day, so it's my way of honoring my mom and, from afar. And then she comes out, she's actually coming later this week, which we won't have flowers by then, but she'll be here again towards the fall when everything's blooming. And that's kind of, you know, it doesn't necessarily, you plant the seed now and sow the reward later, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, what I was going to tell you is for the breakfast in bed,
Mm-hmm.
they cut some of those herbs and they mix them into the eggs.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yep.
It's those.
That's my
things.
next. I wanted to try it this year, do the herb garden. I was going to do like the raised beds in the backyard, and I ran out of time to build them. But it's on my list of things.
Maybe we'll share some with
yeah,
you.
that would be perfect.
And garlic. We even did garlic.
Ooh,
We even
yep.
planted garlic.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. When you are living life differently,
Mm-hmm.
those little things
Yeah.
are very special.
Yep. I was talking to my neighbor actually when I was doing the yard work and stuff, and you know, he knows my story. He knows I was a heroin addict. Knows that, you know, and he was like, "Yeah, is this really does it for you now?" And he's like, "I'm sure it's not like that." I'm like, "Well, it's certainly a different feeling, you know." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "But there's a difference today, man. I have peace. I have calmness. You know, I wouldn't have when I was getting loaded. I would not have spent time in a garden.
No.
You know." And now
And it's a different feeling because it's in your heart. It's a happiness in your heart.
Yeah. And people always say like, "Oh, how do you have such a green thumb?" And I'm like, it's love. Truthfully,
I
I
know.
love my plants.
Yes.
I talk to them. I tell them they're gonna grow and be strong and beautiful, and you know, they do. They believe what you tell them.
I've heard a lot of people say that when you first get sober, if you try keeping a plant alive, and then maybe you can have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a kid or
maybe a goldfish
whatever,
first, and then a dog.
And I
you
would
know.
say you were successful in keeping that plant alive because you have got them everywhere, and you don't. I mean, they're thriving, beautiful plants.
Yeah.
And I love your big old.
The aloe in the middle. Buy aloe in the stores if you get sunburn. You can cut that right off and use that the same way you would, you know, the liquid in the store.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, I'd love to know more about why you have such a love for these plants. But I'd like to know, and you know, just for the people that are out there listening, what brought you into sobriety?
So sobriety, my story, you know, started very, very young, and I started using painkillers because I had surgeries when I was middle school and a freshman in high school. So my addiction, you know, really started at a very, very young age. And, you know, I know a lot of people that have over the years said they tried to get sober many times. I never did. Not once. I used for 15 years, you know, pretty consistently between alcohol, between heroin, and, you know, those were my kind of primaries, but I used everything. And, you know, for me, I was very fortunate to, at the time, have a cousin that had some years of sobriety, and he, you know, kind of nudged, poked, and guided very gently for a long time. And ultimately, what really happened was I tried to take my own life. I was in a bad place. I was in a really, really, really dark, you know, hole, and I did not see a way out. And I tried, and I didn't succeed. I did a shot of heroin that should have killed me by all definitions of, you know, and it just didn't. And I remember, you know, coming to after that, and obviously several hours later, and thinking to myself,